So what's the easy way to buy your very first multifamily property? A lot of people talk about getting into multifamily because they know it's a great place to invest your money. But if you're going to do that and you've never done one before, what do you actually do to get that going? Let's go. Hey there, my name is Mike Fritz. I'm the founder of Titanium Capital Investments and Power Up Real Estate. And on this channel, what we do is we help investors just like you raise capital, buy real estate, buy businesses, so you can start to create that cash flow and the life you want. And in this video, I want to walk you through how to get your first multifamily deal. Because I can tell you, when I was first starting with the whole multifamily concept and really diving into this, I realized it was a little bit different. It's a little bit different. The very first thing you need to know with, and I'm going to be on the vibe today, the very first thing you need to know is there's a break in multifamily. There's 1 to 4 units, actually 2 to 4 units, and there's, let's fix that, there's 2 to 4 units, and then there's 5 plus. So anytime you have a multifamily deal, you have 2 to 4 units and you have 5 plus units. 2 to 4 units, 5 plus units. 2 to 4 is considered residential, and 5 plus is considered commercial. So you have to understand your lending. The very most important thing to understand of why this break is important is because banks look at these deals completely different. For example, when you're buying a multifamily property, 2 to 4, when you're getting a residential loan, they look at your cash flow as the biggest and most important thing that they need to know. What does that mean? That means how much money do you actually make? Can your income actually cover the mortgage? They're not going to look at the income that's brought in by the property. So for example, some of you may say, okay, and again, this is your first multifamily deal. You say, yeah, but if I buy a 3-unit building or a 4-unit building, it's bringing in $2,500 a month or $3,000 a month. I can use that to pay off the mortgage. You're right, you can, but the banks won't see it this way. You need to own residential properties or income properties or rental properties. You need to own those for 2 years before a bank will count that income as income on your taxes. So before you can just say, well, I make money from my rental properties. They're not going to see that as cash flow for at least 2 years. They want to make sure you own properties for a time. Now, when you come down into commercial, the game changes. And if you're going to go with multifamily real estate, I would encourage everybody to stay down here. Stay just above 5 units because that's when all of the beauty happens. The first thing that changes when you come into commercial is they're going to look at the deal itself. Look at the deal itself, meaning the deal itself. Is the deal earning capital? How much money does the deal bring in? And they're going to count that against the debt, right? And so commercial lenders think more like entrepreneurs and business owners than residential lenders. All residential lenders are looking at is your personal cash flow versus the debt. When you come down into commercial lending, banks are going to see this as they're going to see this as a business. They're going to see it as a business. And this is why this is important to understand when they see it as a business, is because a business is based on its income. A business is based on its income. So when a business is based on its income, that means the more you increase the income, if you take these 5 units and you increase rents, that actually increases the value of the property. You're not going to see that because these properties, the value of a residential property is based off of comps in the area. It's based off of other properties like it in the area. It's not based off on income. Come down into 5 plus unit, a commercial deal, then it's based off of income. It's based off your ability to increase the income or decrease the expenses, and you're going to see this value change. We call that forced appreciation. Forced appreciation. We call that forced appreciation because you can control the speed limit. If you increase the income or decrease the expenses, more money into your pocket, the bank says the property's worth more money. This is the big thing when you're buying your first property you need to understand. We're going to go through how to actually do it, but this is foundational to understanding the overlay of multifamily property. Okay? So when you understand the overlay of multifamily property, understand this big division right here. Everything 2 to 4 units is treated completely differently than 5 plus units because that's a commercial deal. So now you have to understand there's really 5, and I'm going to give you a 6th bonus one. There's 5 things you have to understand when you're coming into multifamily. Number 1, everything is driven by the market. the market you choose, everything. The value of that property, you'll make most money in the best markets. So when you look at markets to go into real estate, the things you look for, there are 3 things you look for when you're looking at market. I'll put these on the side. Number 1, you look at jobs. Are there jobs in that area, and are they increasing? Are jobs increasing? Are businesses moving there? Because what follows jobs? Population. When there's jobs, people move there. And then there's a third one, maybe the most important one, is you want to look for landlord friendly. You want to look for landlord-friendly places to buy. There's some cities, if you invest in, it takes 18 to 24 months to evict somebody that's not paying rent. They can literally live there for almost 2 years without ever paying you $1. That's why it's so important to pick a landlord-friendly state to invest in. And these are usually state-driven. These aren't federal. So some states are very landlord-friendly. Other states are not so landlord-friendly at all. So you want to look at the market. And these are my 3 big. Now, jobs and population go hand in hand, except retirement communities. Retirement communities, you can see population going up, not necessarily jobs going up. So you want to make sure you look at those 3 things when you're looking in markets. And so this is key. I can tell you the biggest mistakes I've made in my real estate is buying in markets that weren't as strong as others. This is where you win. A good property in a bad market is still a bad property. A bad property in a good market is still a good property. And that's the defining factor in a market. A market, I say all the time, a market will cover a multitude of sins. Because a good market, tons of people are moving there. Tons of people are starting to rent, and your property becomes worth more money. Your property is worth more money. So the first one is market. Well, then you need a broker, because this is where we get deals. You need a broker. So this is where we get deals. So how are you going to find deals once you find that market? You're going to find commercial brokers. And by the way, we have a lot of content on the channel on how to work with brokers, how to contact them, how to leverage LoopNet for deals, how to leverage Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. All of that stuff is here on the channel. Make sure you dive around and find those videos, because I'm going to dive deeper into this deal piece on other videos. But the way I find 100% of my deals is through brokers. I connect with off-market brokers, and what an off-market broker means is they tend to find owners that are looking to sell, and they don't put it on the MLS. Nobody else knows it's for sale except the investors that they work with. So you want to find some power brokers. This is how you're going to find deals. Number 3 is we need to find banks. We need to find banks. Banks are key to multifamily real estate, because rarely are people going to cash out a deal. In fact, you won't make as much money if you cash out a deal than you will by using a bank. So you want to find banks, and there's 2 different types of banks you can work with. There's what's called agency. There's agency debt, and there's what I just call local debt. Agency debt is government loans. That's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. These are government loans. They're a lot more, they're a lot harder to get, because you don't have to personally guarantee the loan. You don't have to personally guarantee, so if they default on the loan, they can't come after you. You don't personally guarantee the loan. But the kicker here with agency debt is your net worth must equal what you're borrowing. So if you're going to borrow $1 million, you got to have $1 million net worth. You're going to borrow $100,000, you got to have $100,000 worth of net worth. Because they're not personally guaranteeing it, they need to make sure that you're strong enough to cover it, right? Then there's local debt. These are just credit unions and local banks that do commercial loans. They're easier to get because they don't have that net worth requirement, but you are going to have to personally guarantee that loan. And all of us personally guarantee a lot of loans on the beginning of our career until we move to an agency model. So this is where you'll start, is on these local banks. Usually you're not going here unless you have a lot of cash flow or can partner with somebody that does. And that's another thing. If you can't get the loan by yourself, bring in a partner that can and give them a percentage in order to come on that loan with you. That's a key piece to scaling your business and growing in the multifamily space. So you want to get banks. And number 4, you've got to have a property manager. You've got to find property managers, because you can't be managing all these units. You're not going to grow with that. And I remember when I first started off, I had a couple duplexes, maybe a 3 unit. I think I had 7 or 8 units. I was managing myself. It was a nightmare, because every single time a toilet broke or a light fixture needed to be replaced, they called me and I had to find a way to do it. So it's a nightmare to do that. You got to find a good property management in the market, in the area that you're working with. And by the way, when you find a good market, this right here, I want you to see something real quick. This broker right here is key to finding leads for good banks and good property managers. In fact, when I go into a new market and I find a good broker, that's how I find my property managers and banks in that area. Is the brokers, they have a network. That's what their network is. Because a bank makes money on giving loans, so they network with these brokers, say, hey, your customers, send them to us. Same thing with property managers. They work with brokers. Broker, when you sell a deal, send them to us. And so this is their network, and they can shoot you that information. And the last one, and possibly the most important, is you need investors. You need investors. You can only go so far with your own money. Here's the thing about capital. We all invest to the ceiling of our capital. Sooner or later, it's gone. I don't care how rich you are. Sooner or later, you have no more capital, and you got to start leveraging other people's money. And so this is the key piece to making this all work, is your ability to raise capital. Because here's the thing. If you can raise capital, you can find somebody that already has the relationship with the broker or the banks, the property manager. They already have the deal, and you can come to them and say, hey, I've got $1 million I've raised. Do you have any deals? Let's partner on a deal together. When you can raise capital, you can get into multifamily deals like that so much faster if you just can find a way to raise capital. We have a lot of videos. We just dropped a video a little while ago on how to raise capital. Watch that video. It's another video walking you through this process, because this is what changed my life in the multifamily space of not just buying one, but many. I know you're buying your first one, but this is how it works. People go into a market, they look for brokers, banks, property managers, and then they start raising capital and get these deals done. That's how it's done, and that's how you ought to be doing it as well. So before you leave today, I want to give you a free gift. I have a free 60-minute training called the Free Multifamily Masterclass. It's down in the description. Click that link. Go to that training. It's free 60 minutes, and at the end of that training, you're going to be invited into our Multifamily CEO Academy, or our Multifamily Blueprint Academy, which is so powerful at helping you do this and really fills in all the gaps. So make sure you get that free training and watch those other videos. It's going to continue to color inside the lines, helping you get your first property. I'll see you in the next video.